upgrading the Vraska Scheming Gorgon deck. Hey everyone, it's vmcampos, Magic Fan. So if you saw my previous video, you saw how I upgraded the Angrath Minotaur Pirate deck from Rivals of Ixalan. Let me do the same thing for the Vraska Scheming Gorgon deck. I already opened it, and I've got the deck ready to go, so I'll just show it to you. So I did several things in this deck. First of all, I removed all of the plain old Ixalan cards. My challenge was to only use Rivals of Ixalan cards, number 1. So those have all been removed. And number 2, I only wanted to use common and uncommon cards. Obviously, you can make any deck better with all rares and mythics, but I wanted to focus just on commons and uncommons. I also wanted to keep as many as possible as the exclusive cards, and we'll see which ones those are. So I changed to the mana. I went with just plain lands. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 plains. There are more white mana symbols than black, so I went with 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 swamps. So 25 mana instead of 24 that it originally had. I also took out the Forsaken Sanctuaries, which give you either black or white mana but come into the field tapped. I think a mana ready to go is a little more valuable. Again, I removed all of the Ixalan instants, enchantments, creatures, and such. So in white, I kept the Paladin of Atonement. It's a very good 1/1 creature for 1 and a white. This one basically absorbs +1/+1s as you are dealt damage. And then when it dies, you gain life equal to its toughness. Pretty cool. I added 2 copies of a card that were not in the deck before. The Martyr of Dusk. It's another 2-drop creature. It's a 2/1. When Martyr of Dusk dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. So we've got 3 different creatures that we'll see that are a 2-drop to get small attacking creatures out quickly. When it dies, since it's only a 2/1, it then brings a replacement vampire with lifelink to gain you a little life. So I got 2 of those. Next up, Famished Paladin. This one had 2 in the original build and I kept them. For 2 mana, you get a 3/3. Pretty cool. However, the big problem is it doesn't untap during your untap step, but it untaps when you gain life. So as you have some of these lifelink creatures, it'll become untapped. So you can get a quick 3/3 attack by turn 3. Forerunner of the Legion. This was not in the deck at all. I added 1, and I would probably add more if I had more in my collection of commons and uncommons. This is a 2 and a white, 2/2. When Forerunner of the Legion enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a vampire card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. So it's a tutor for some other vampire card, which the deck is full of them. So we've got a couple that are really good to go searching for. And as long as it's on the battlefield, whenever another vampire enters the battlefield under my control, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So as I go search for another vampire, bring it into the battlefield, the Forerunner then gives +1/+1 to one of my other creatures until end of turn. Now there's only 1 in the original build, but then I added 1 more. Exultant Sky Marcher. 1 and white, you get a 2/3. Flying. So you want to deal with flying threats. This it's got pretty good toughness, only 3 mana, only you need 2 white, and you've got a flyer. I also added these 3 Sanguine Glorifiers, which were not in the deck before. For 4 mana, you get a 3/3. When Sanguine Glorifier enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on another target vampire you control. This is a permanent +1/+1 counter. So as you're bringing these ladies in, you are then putting 1/1s on some of your other vampires permanently. Plus you get a 3/3 creature. Next, in black, originally there was only one Dusk Legion Zealot. I added 2 more. So this is a 1 and a black, you get a 1/1. The ability is, when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So you can get some card advantage early on as you drop these creatures in. So there's 3 of them. You can be ahead 3 cards versus your opponent for only 3 loss of life. Next, I've got 2 cards that were not in the deck originally at all. This is the Voracious Vampire. For 1 black and 2 more, you get a 2/2 with Menace. When Voracious Vampire enters the battlefield, target vampire you control gets +1/+1 and gains Menace until end of turn. So as I've already got vampires on the field, and I bring in the Voracious Vampire, they get a +1/+1 and Menace until end of turn. And this guy himself has Menace. So I got 2 of those. One of the exclusive cards, Vampire Champion. There were originally 4 of these, and I thought it was way too many for this deck, so I cut it down to 2. What we get is, with 3 colorless and 1 black, you get a 3/3 creature with Death Touch. Not super amazing stats. Death Touch is cool, so you'll be taking out their big creatures, but it's a 4 casting cost for 3/3. There was a whole playset of them. I whittled it down to 2. As for these multicolored cards, there was 1 Legion Lieutenant before, and that was a travesty, because for 1 white and 1 black, you get a 2/2, and other vampires you control get +1/+1. Amazing! It is uncommon, and I did have 2 more, so I put 2 more. Imagine having all of these Vampire Knights out on the field. All your vampires get +3/+3 permanently, as long as the Lieutenant is on the field, of course. So for 2 mana only, I couldn't pass it up. I took out a bunch of other cards that were from plain old Ixalan to make room for these 2. I would put 1 more if I had 1 more. So that was all of the creatures. I would definitely use, for example, Forerunner of the Legion to go get at least 1 Legion Lieutenant. In black spells, let's see, we've got Vona's Hunger, which was not originally in the deck, and it is one of the cards actually that I included because when I opened the packs that were included in the in that Planeswalker deck, it was there, so I didn't go out of my way to go get this one. It was in the packs that I had cracked. Okay, so for 2 colorless and 1 black, you get an instant with Ascend. So as I got these 10 permanents, eventually then I get Ascend. I get the City's Blessing. And each opponent sacrifices a creature. So without Ascend. With Ascend, if I have the City's Blessing, instead, each opponent sacrifices half the creatures he or she controls rounded up. So creature removal there. If I've got Ascend, even more powerful. There was 1 copy of Recover before, and I put 1 more, so now we've got, for 2 colorless, 1 black sorcery, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So again, if some of these lieutenants die, or maybe for an amazing double combo, I can get the Forerunner of the Legion, which then lets me go get the lieutenant, and then I draw another card. So 2 of those. Next up, Gruesome Fate. This one was not originally in the build, but I decided to add it. These are 2 commons, 2 colorless and a black sorcery. Each opponent loses 1 life for each creature you control. I plan on getting a lot of fast vampires out, so that could be potentially a lot of loss of life to the opponent. 2 of those. We've got then Dark Inquiry. This was not in the original deck, but I really like it. Some great disruption here. 2 and a black. Sorcery. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So destroy their cards right out of their hand. 2 of them. And then another exclusive Vraska card. This is Vraska Scorn. There were 2 of them in the deck. I just whittled it down to 1. So for 4 converted mana, you get a sorcery. Target opponent loses 4 life. You may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Vraska, Scheming Gorgon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. So this is the card that you use to tutor for your Planeswalker. Now, a little quick side note, if you're a little younger and you don't know what tutoring is, back in the day, and the very first generations of Magic, there was a card called Demonic Tutor, which was an amazing, overpowered, low-cost card in black that you could use to grab any card from your library. They've been printing various lower-powered versions of it for the last 25 years, and here's one of the latest ones, but its only use is to tutor the Planeswalker of this deck. Oh well, the 4 damage is good too. In white, I've got Squire's Devotion, which was not in the original deck. This was too good to pass up. Common, 2 and a white. Enchantment, Aura, Enchant Creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. When Squire's Devotion enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token. So I'm going to be enhancing one of my creatures and bringing in more vampire helpers. And the creature that gets enhanced also gets lifelink. So that lifelink helps with the Famished Paladin and just getting more life. I really liked it, so I've got 3 of them in the deck. Then a little removal here, Divine Verdict. Since I removed Bright Reprisal because it was Ixalan, I added the Rivals of Ixalan version, Divine Verdict, 3 and 1 white, destroy target attacking or blocking creature. 2 of them. A little pricey, but if I've got a big creature coming at me and I've got the mana ready for it, I can take it out. And lastly, of course, is the jewel of the deck, which is Vraska Scheming Gorgon. As I said, we've got Vraska Scorn to get her into our hand a lot faster. Then we've got, for 4, and then black, we get the mythic rare foil Vraska Scheming Gorgon. Starts with 5 loyalty counters. +2, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So all my creatures, and hopefully I'll have a lot on the battlefield. For -3, destroy target creature. No ifs, ands, or buts. So as soon as I bring her onto the field, I can already do her -3 and take out one of my opponent's crafty creatures. And if I get -10, until end of turn, creatures you control gain Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, that player loses the game. So if I can get to that -10, and I've got a bunch of vampires on the field, I send them all at my opponent, one of them's going to get through most likely, end of game. So there you go, that was my upgraded Vraska Scheming Gorgon deck. These Planeswalker decks are good starting points, but with those 2 packs of cards that you get, you may be able to craft something more powerful. And as I said, my goal was to remove all Ixalan cards and stay only with Rivals of Ixalan, and I wanted to focus only with common and uncommons, except for that Vona's Hunger rare that I actually cracked in the pack. And I think I like this deck a little better. I've play-tested it a little bit. Seems pretty good. So I'm going to do a quick shuffle and draw some cards and see what I get. Alright, let's see. Here's a hand. We've got a swamp, a plains, Sanguine Glorifier, the Legion, Lieutenant, Dusk Martyr. Okay, this is an amazing hand, so let's say I would play this. Let's see, so I've got the 2 mana to get the Legion Lieutenant, plus 1 more. So I've got 3 mana for 3 turns, good. With those 3 mana, eventually then I could do an Exultant Sky Marcher and a Martyr of Dusk. Okay, great, so let's say I will take this hand, so I'll place a swamp, pass my turn, my opponent does his thing, come back, draw, okay, another land, great. So I'm going to put those planes, right away I'll tap both, and I'll summon the Legion Lieutenant, so all my vampires are then going to get +1/+1. Okay, end my turn. His turn comes back on tap. Draw. Got the Vampire Champion for later on. Place another Plains. Tap those 3, 2 white and 1 more for the Exultant Sky Marcher. So I get a 2-3 flying, actually a 3-4 flying because of the Lieutenant. Obviously I want her to hold back so I wouldn't be attacking. So I've already got there a threat for my opponent, 3-4 flying. Okay, end my turn. He goes, comes back, untap, draw. Okay, so the Zealot, that's cool. I'm going to put down a Plains. So now I've got 4 mana in total. I could do the Sanguine Glorifier, which is going to be 3-3, actually 4-4 because of the Lieutenant. And it'll give another +1/+1 permanently. So if I bring the Glorifier, I can strengthen up my Lieutenant just in case my opponent's going to do some direct damage. Or I could increase even more my Sky Marcher. Really nice. I could bring in my Martyr. Well, 2-1 will become a 3-2, and then when it dies, I get that 1-1 lifelink, which will become a 2-2 because again of the Lieutenant. I could do the Vampire Champion. She'll become a 4-4 with Death Touch, or the Zealot becomes a 2-2, draw a card, lose a life. So I got a lot of things that I could do with it here. Let's say what I would do in the real world then is, well, I've got the mana for it, so I do double. I do 1 black and 1 white to summon the Dusk Legion Zealot, so that's a 2-2, draw a card, lose a life, so I get the Divine Verdict. Then I've still got enough for this Martyr, tap both of those, and I've got another one. Here's a 3-2. I like to put them upside down for Summon Sickness. So obviously this one's holding back, and then I can attack already, 3-4 flying. There we go. So next turn, again, now I've got a huge squad of vampires right here. How many permanents? 2, 4, 6, 7. I got 7 permanents on my way to ascending. Draw. Squire's Devotion. Cool. Okay, so I didn't get another mana. I didn't get another land drop. Hopefully that doesn't affect anything. But anyway, with this 4 mana, I can do a Squire's Devotion to strengthen another creature and get another vampire. So let's say I would strengthen my my Martyr. So 1 plus 2 more. That one's strengthened. So now she's a 1, 2, 3, 4, a 4-3, and I get another vampire token right there. So that's a 1-1 lifelink. So huge squad, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once I get my next ascend card, I can already ascend. I don't have a lot of ascend cards, but I'm ready to ascend. So I think this was a really good hand early on. I'm liking what's going on. Of course, I'm not accounting for what my opponent is doing, but I'm liking this hand. Let's do another shuffle. Let's do another hand and see what we get. Alright, so we've got the Dusk Legion Zealot, 2-drop, good. Ooh, another Legion Lieutenant, great. Martyr of Dusk, great. Another 2-drop. Squire's Devotion for later. Oh, there's Vraska popping out. But the problem with this hand is I've only got 1 swamp. I am not comfortable with this at all. I personally would not play a hand with less than 3 mana. If I get 1 more Plains next turn, I might be able to start with my Lieutenant or my Zealot. Or my Martyr. I'm not happy with that. And I got Vraska on my opening hand, but I would not do this hand. So I'm going to do a mulligan and try it again. Just out of curiosity, there would have been another swamp. So again, not quite getting the mana that I needed. So I'm going to do a mulligan. In our play group, we often do the first mulligan is free, so we'd go back to 7. But let's say we will do the rules of draw 6 and then scry. Let's see, there's the Lieutenant again. Again, this is a great card. This is one of the backbones of this deck. Good thing I put 2 more. Having only 1 was just not enough. Okay, that's good. Paladin, this one's alright, but it relies then on getting life to untap. But I might then attack for 3 on turn 3. Dark Inquiry, another Lieutenant, 1 plane, 1 swamp. Okay, well, I'm not going to drop down to 5, so I'm going to keep this. I've got the combo of the 2 color lands for the Lieutenant. I got 2 Lieutenants, wow. So, okay, I'm liking that. Let's scry what would be coming up. Another planes, I need that, so I'll leave it. Okay, so another trick here is then, I am down 1 card. I know I'm getting cards coming up, so I would let my opponent go first, so that I can draw my card that I'm missing. So, let them do their thing. They drop a land. Hopefully no 1-drops are happening. Okay, my turn. I'm going to grab that planes, and I'll start off with planes. Pass it back to my opponent. Okay, she goes. My turn. Draw. Swamp. Got my combo right there. Tap 2. Drop the Lieutenant. So vampires are going to come with 1/1. Okay, end my turn. Her turn comes back. Untap. Draw. Okay, starting to get my lands. So, let's see here. I could do another Lieutenant, or start to do the Famished, or I could even do a Dark Inquiry. I think what I do is the Dark Inquiry, because it's important to kind of see what's happening with your opponent as soon as possible. So, tap that, plus 2 more, Dark Inquiry. I reveal their hand. Oh, they've got the removal there. Get it out of here. So I saw their hand. Maybe they're tapped. Who knows what's going on? I might then attack with that 2/2, but obviously I need to save her to power up my vampires, but I've got another one in hand just in case. Okay, end my turn. Let's say I didn't attack. And they go on. They come back. Okay, I might be getting mana flooded here, but put down another planes. Tapping 2 to summon the Famished Paladin. Tapping 2 more to summon my other Lieutenant. So other vampires I control, that's another vampire. Okay, that's a 5/5 that I can attack with next turn. This is a 3/3 because of that Lieutenant, and then this is a 3/3 because of that Lieutenant. So I could send her off into battle. Hopefully my Dark Inquiry took out some removal. Maybe I can do some damage there. Let's say I don't. So end my turn. Comes back to me. Untap. Draw. Okay, so I'm going to put down Swamp. Got a Gruesome Fate. I might save that for a little bit later. Right now I would do 3 damage to my opponent because I've got 3 creatures. So what I might do is, okay, I'm going to attack with a 5/5. So we deal with that. This does not untap because of its ability here. I have to have life gain. So keep those. And then maybe still wait on this. Who knows? So, okay, she goes, comes back. Again, I'm assuming that they're not doing anything too terrible to me, so drop another land. Okay, I got enough for the Exultant Sky Marcher. 2 plus 1 more. Sky Marcher starts as 2/3. Actually, she starts as a 3/4 flyer. Oops, that one doesn't untap until I gain life. And so now I've got 4 here, and maybe I'll do that now. The 1 black plus 2 more. Gruesome Fate. Each opponent loses 1 life for each creature I control. 4 damage right there for 3 mana. I'd be then top decking at this point, but I've got a big creature to start to fly in with. I've got my 2 lieutenants that are really buffing up my creatures. Let's say just 1 more round. Untap. Famished doesn't untap yet. Draw. Okay, mana. And then I'm attacking with a 4/5. So, pretty good hand still. Again, I'm not dealing with my opponent's threats at the moment. And how am I doing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, I have enough for Ascend once I get my Ascend card. And just as it was coming up, another Sky Marcher, so more power in the air. It's another great hand, I think. And so that was the Vraska Scheming Gorgon upgraded deck. I hope you like it. I think it works a little better than before. I need to play it against more people to really figure it out, and I might do a version 2. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to head on over to Patreon and contribute $1 or so. I think it's worth it. This has been VM Campos. See you next time.